Hi, everybody. Welcome to the July 24th meeting of the Wiscasset Climate Action Team. August. Wow, August 24th. 28th. I obviously put the wrong date in here, so we are gonna rectify that right now. Welcome to the August 28th meeting of WCAT. We have a packed agenda for today. Apologies for the slightly late start. So we are calling to order at 6:07 p.m. And as usual, we have time open for public comment on non-agenda items. So I'd like to invite any members of the public who are attending, please stand up, come close and let us know your thoughts. We give you about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Bring a chair if you think it'll be longer than a second. Feel
no,
comfortable.
no, I don't think so, I don't, if you have a packed agenda, I don't wanna get in front of that. I came across, part of the Build Back Better or infrastructure or whatever that, money got passed to the state and the feds, and one of the things that got passed was to, fund a program called Solar for All, which seems to aim more at putting solar on everybody's rooftops or in everybody's yard versus ripping down, 40 acres and putting in a farm of panels. And I was wondering, is anybody familiar with this program? Because they haven't released the funds yet. What's the holdup?
Yes, I'm familiar. I can take this one. So this is a program that, the federal government has basically selected,
9 states. Something like
selected
that.
several states. And, I'm not sure what the exact timeline is for them getting the funds to the states and then putting it out. I do know that the funds will be dedicated to low and moderate income households. Who to try to make sure that they have an opportunity to install solar. I haven't seen that the state of Maine has, announced like what the program will be and when that is going, but we can track that and share information about that.
Oh, good.
Here.
To track it. I mean,
Mhm.
I would give efficiency Maine a call or the governor's committee. It just seems like when Build Back Better got transformed, it was in 2 parts. There was a social part and there was a, highways and bridges part. And it just seems like we should have said, you can't have anything for the highways and bridges until you do the social part, which is more of a social.
Mhm.
And I think they're sitting on it. And makes me unhappy. I mean, in a way, yeah, I'd like to rattle some cages. Thank you, namaste.
Thanks for coming.
Namaste.
Okay, thank you. So we have our marching orders. We'll be tracking this. We'll share updates. I come across this in my day job, so I can share updates with the group and we can put it in our meeting minutes.
Are you guys on Facebook?
Yes, well, individually, we don't have a group.
A page per se, okay, continue.
Yeah, but maybe the town staff could also track it and share information when it's available. Yeah.
That'd be great. Ping-pong approach.
Pages. Great, thanks for coming. Thomas. Appreciate it. Okay. So. Are there any other public comments? Right, thank you. We'll conclude this and portion of the agenda and move on with approval of the July meeting minutes, which were sent to all of the members and posted on the website ahead of time. Are there any comments or questions about those minutes?
Move to approve as written.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of approving minutes as written? Please raise your hand. Okay. 5 in favor, none opposed, and 1 is not here. Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is, I would like to invite Town Manager Dennis Simmons up to answer a few questions about the proposed town building weatherization and solar project that is being proposed to be handled by Johnson Controls. And we, as you, the members know, we gathered questions ahead of time, so we'll take those questions in order. And if we, because we have a packed agenda, we'll try to keep it to 10 minutes. And then if there are any further questions, we could share those with Dennis. So we just pull up this list of questions right here. Thanks for your patience. It's always hard to moderate new notes at the same time. Okay. So the first question, we were wondering if you could review with us what the proposed weatherization project will include. And I can actually pull up that table from the main proposal, Johnson Controls, if you'd like. We can walk through it. And if folks aren't aware, on the town website, the proposal from Johnson Controls is listed, I think, under resources. Maybe it'll go over. Let me try it this way. There we go. And I'll zoom in a little bit more, so folks can see this.
We want to flip the lights the other way, maybe. That helps.
That might help. Thank you. I don't know if folks can see it, but maybe you could talk us through it, Dennis.
I don't know what more I can say than what's there. I mean, that's what they've identified as needs that need to be done. In the various buildings that. We asked them to look at.
Okay, great. Well, I guess my first question was, it seemed like weatherization was tackled for most of the buildings, but not town offices and emergency. Is that the fire station? And I was curious what the that as well as the attic insulation.
Well, some of this has been done, so.
Yeah, okay, so some of this work has already been done. Is that true of like all of these buildings that are not included, all of the attic installations?
I'm assuming so. I never asked if that was the case in some of the. I know some of the stuff was excluded from this project because they couldn't get it into the guaranteed savings,
Okay,
which is part of why the project didn't set out to do what I set out to accomplish with this. I'm not saying it's a bad proposal or a good proposal, it just didn't do what I did.
okay, all right, so it seems like there's some parts here. I mean, I think this committee has also discussed that. And we brought up at the public meetings that we'd love to see the expansion of heat pumps and transitioning off of fossil fuels. So one of the additional questions were, what were the barriers that you heard about upgrading the heat pumps in facilities, either with this project or in the future?
Well, with this project, they didn't fit within the guaranteed cost savings that they were doing. That was their goal with this project. My goal was something else. Like I said, it just didn't turn out the way that I anticipated it to turn out.
Okay,
By the way, it doesn't include much savings in fossil fuel. It's primarily lighting, the weatherization that will save some profit to us. And so the solar arrays will save electricity. And there's no heat pumps involved.
I guess from when I asked Johnson Controls about this originally, they were saying that maybe the upfront costs were some of the challenges. I know in the long run, or a longer term, heat pumps do have that return on investment to where it is a savings. So from what you've heard from Johnson Controls and what in your mind, like what is the main barrier to?
They couldn't make it work, they couldn't make the numbers work.
Okay, so does that mean the town will not go forward with looking into heat pumps or that more research?
There's actually one, we're having a discussion on Tuesday's select board agenda to move forward with doing heat pumps in this building.
Oh, great.
I mean, 2 years ago, money was set aside
Mhm,
or appropriated to upgrade the HVAC system in this building.
mhm,
And that's where this whole project started, was we need to do something in this building to get rid of these. My more concern was the inefficiency of the boilers, not whether we should change heating fuels or whatever, but it didn't do what I wanted. And I made that pretty clear to the select board that
mhm,
it doesn't do what I want.
mhm, what is it that you would like to see it do, Dennis?
I wanted to see more of. And more energy, I mean, I'm fine with the weatherization. And some of the other stuff that they proposed, you know, and it's, you know, we've been working on converting the lights around anyways. But I really wanted to see different heating systems in these buildings. Then, you know, this is a 30-year-old boiler in this building, you can't tell me that we can't find something more efficient than this. And so you know, when this came up, I was very disappointed in how this came about.
They usually put a label on the furnace when they examine it, what the efficiency is.
I'm sorry,
They
Mike.
usually put a label on the furnace when they, clean it and stuff.
Yeah, it's, I don't know what it is, I've seen it, I can't remember off the top of my head.
It should be-
It's just, but it's an old system.
Yeah.
The pumps are all seizing off, and, you know, it's just, it's a good, in my mind, heat pumps was the way to go. And leave the system that's here, it's already in place, as a backup system for, you know, if we, you know, for some reason the heat pumps can't keep up. And that's still my plan to move forward. Like I said, that's gonna be the discussion on Tuesday as to whether or not. We just go ahead and install the heat pumps anyways. We've been 2 years trying to get this done. And I'm quite frustrated with the whole thing. It's like, let's just get it done.
Mhm. Yeah,
I'd be willing to help you finding a person who could do it.
We've already got plans and everything all done.
thanks, Ryan.
Question? No, Jane? Okay, I should leave because I'm not gonna really feel enough to. So, it's fine.
Thanks for coming. Thank you for coming. That's awesome. That's really helpful and, I think we've had a lot of discussions as a committee about, the public input that we received from the public meetings last year that seeing the town buildings get off of fossil fuels into more efficient alternatives, which it's nice that heat pumps are so efficient.
Well,
kind of
there's
reach
the
with
timing on this is probably, the way it's worked out isn't so great either. You know, with having to move the wastewater plant and possibly moving the public works garage. We've outgrown this building, we have no space left. So we're going to have to do something in the next several years to either add on to this building or build a town office elsewhere. I don't know what the answer to that is just now. We're gonna have a needs assessment done soon. I've been kind of holding off on that, waiting to see what happens with Van Yankee and not spending a whole lot of money until I know where certain things are gonna land with them. But But at some point, it has to get done. And so I'm not all that anxious to go out and borrow money over 20 years on buildings that don't even exist any longer. And I will tell you this with 99% certainty, this is not going to be on the ballot in November. There's an issue that came up with the attorney and the school and how this was structured, and we're not going to be able to resolve that in time for the select board to sign the warrant on Tuesday, and that is the deadline for them to get that warrant signed. So I'm pretty certain unless something miraculous happens tomorrow, that it's not even going to be on the ballot.
Okay.
You could celebrate my birthday, huh? We don't miss that one.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it won't come up at some other point in the future, but.
I'll be here.
Okay, that's really helpful to hear, and I think the long-term plans for the town offices is helpful as well, like. For us, one of the major priorities of this committee was to recommend that the town shift off fossil fuels for renewable energy sources, and otherwise, but. Like balancing that with the long-term plans is really important.
Yes, I think it just makes sense for us to. Put this together in a better plan than kind of do a little bit here, a little bit.
Yeah,
Then find out that, oh, well, we're gonna tear the public works garage down. Move it somewhere else.
right. Mhm.
The wastewater plant wasn't included in this, so that's. You know, and by design, because we knew
Mhm.
it wasn't gonna be there forever, so.
And you mentioned a larger assessment of the needs will be done soon. Will that sort of be looking at everything holistically and long-term plans?
For this building,
Okay.
the needs assessment are just for those two buildings
Okay.
currently. But they are dark, besides the school's biggest consumers of
Mhm.
energy in the town anyways.
Okay, do you have an idea of when that will be completed, how it will
I haven't
be?
even put it out for an RFP yet.
Okay,
I've got it written, I had it written, but I really would like to feel a little bit better about what's gonna happen with Maine Yankee tax wise before. We start really spend too much money in this budget year. Cause I really just don't know where that's gonna go.
that's helpful to us for our planning too.
But the money for the heat pumps for, to do this building's already been appropriated, that came out of the capital fund, so.
That's
We can move
great to
forward
hear.
with that.
Okay,
Just the repairs that we did on this last year. Saved the consumption of a whole lot of oil.
that's great to hear.
Oh, that furnace was running all the time.
Not great. Okay, thank you. I think that's it for all of my questions. Marty, I know you had a few questions. Marty? I know you had a few questions as well. Did this address your questions? I know we have to move on pretty quickly in the agenda, but I want to make sure you have an opportunity to ask maybe one question.
Yes, well, you kind of answered the question that whether or not you still supported the.
If you ask me right outright, no, I don't.
And, do you have any idea of why they listed so many LED lighting fixtures in their proposal?
Because most of the buildings, except for the school, don't have any in them.
Yeah,
And the schools are, I'm not sure how old, but
Yeah, Dennis said they replaced all of his.
they went quite back. The only place that have LEDs in this building are basically in this office. Yeah, and we did do the fire station. Sometime last winter, but all the rest of the building, even some of the offices here still don't have it.
Mhm.
But same with, I put LED lighting up at the public works garage if it's not gonna be there.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, no problem.
Really helpful, and
Happy to do it.
we'll keep an eye out, I think, for like any funding that could be used for these, but this is incredibly helpful.
We're always looking for money.
Basically, we're here to help as much as possible, so we can let you go if you want to, I know you're
Yep.
this evening, but thank you.
Go back into my office for a little bit.
Okay,
All right,
great,
thanks.
so thanks, Dennis. Wonderful. And I'll make sure that this is included in the notes for posterity. I wanted to move up because I know Terry has to depart pretty quickly. So I want to bring this up that last week I discussed with Dennis holding a joint select board WCAT workshop on climate change. At our last meeting, we had talked about several questions that we had for the select board. It was in the meeting minutes from last week. And we just wanted to get a better sense for select board understanding of climate issues, sense of urgency, like timing of action to, as well as just generally getting some input from the select board on our purpose as a committee. I think we've talked, well, I wanted to bring up the idea as well as maybe following this, having a discussion with the select board about becoming a permanent committee. We are still ad hoc, but we are doing a great deal of work on a grant for the town. And so it's a little hard to do that when we could be dissolved at any time technically. Hopefully not, but so the date is not determined for this. I believe Dennis was gonna talk with the select board, but I wanted to bring this up while you were here, Terry, so that you're aware of that. We'd love to have this joint workshop and maybe have us also present some information about, you know, what are the impacts we expect from climate change, what are some of the major solutions, and do a little bit of that education that we talked about, as well as have a good discussion of, you know, select board priorities and climate change.
And we want to do that.
I think in the next couple of months would be great.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Schedules permitting, I know things are a little bit crazy in general. Do you
Maybe
have
for
any,
Halloween.
do you have any insights on, what would be helpful for us to present about and information or what questions?
You know, the select board is actually all over the place. There's no, even though we all vote on everything, we have as many different approaches as there are and interests. For example, I would begin to guess what priorities Bill Maloney would have. And that would be also quite different from James and Greta. So, no, I couldn't offer that, but it might be really important to send out a note and say, here's something that we're interested in.
Mhm.
You know, how do you respond to this? Take the priorities of this group
Mhm.
and make sure that, you know, those priorities, 3 or 4, whatever they are, out of thousands. But, and send those to the select board with a note. Please be thinking about this. And, you know, it's an advanced organizer.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Which-
questions to prime them.
I think that would be really valuable for our group.
Cassie, maybe if we gave them, to Terry's point, give them some topics that we want to talk about and maybe even ask them on a scale of 1 to 5, how important do you think this is? And please be prepared to explain your answer at the meeting. Because somebody might think it's very important, one of the other members might think it's absolutely not essential. Interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting maybe to hold before and after the workshop as well. See what we got before, what we think after.
That's interesting.
Okay, great.
When I was in Wayne, I used to do a workshop every
July and August, depending on whenever I got around to it, but it was like. And I used to take the comprehensive planning goals. And they built like a table, something similar to this. And then the select board would spend a lot of time. Picking the goals that they would like to study for the year. And then once so the select board would given like, they were able to take 5. And then once they took those 5, then they could take any 5. And then I compile them into another table and then. Then I give it back out to the board and then they would then prioritize it.
Yeah.
You know, like, so rate them. And then, each board member would, rate, 1 through. Remember, there's a 5, but only 5, so. And then they would also. Rate it in terms of. Another grading, besides ranking it, they also did it was, importance. Yeah, that's what it was, so. Yeah, I think that's what it was, I'm trying to remember, I have to look at the table, but. Anyways, so that's how we used to do it, and then that's what we picked, and we spent a lot of time arguing about that for like the first 2 weeks, of the fiscal year. And then, once we were able to pick 5 out of that scale, out of all those 25 goals. And that's how we picked the 5 goals that we would spend the year with.
That's
Good
good.
idea.
I like that one,
Because
because you can see how far you've come.
Yeah.
We're aiming at this,
Yeah.
we hit that, okay, we're aiming at this, I
And
like that a lot.
we used to put it on the agenda every meeting under summer goals. So then usually like the board member was responsible for one of those goals, and they would kind of report back on where they got. And anyway, it was pretty good. So maybe we'll do something like that. It's,
Thank you. No, that's a great suggestion. So. I would say, we might wanna have just a planning meeting in the next month or so to talk through. Questions, topics we wanna, work on in that workshop, and we can touch base with maybe Aaron and Dennis as well to get their input, as well as Carrie, our fearless, select board liaison. Okay, so I would say we'll, CAP members will hold a planning meeting for our September meeting, ideally.
And Cassie, we have all of our public surveys that already list, a whole bunch of areas of focus that they would like us to work on, and we can use that list to start out with. Because it's come from the community, so we're not just fabricating it out of the air.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. We could also just represent all of those results.
Yep.
That's great data.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks all. I think this will be a really helpful way to have that conversation in a productive way. Okay, so we've skipped around a little bit. Thank you for your patience. Carrie is welcome to depart whenever she needs to, but she's welcome to stay. Okay, so next, we have a substantial update on the Wiscasset Waterfront Resilience Project. As a helpful reminder, this is the project that is being funded by our Community Action Grant that we assisted the town with getting. That grant agreement has been signed, so the funds are coming soon. It's real now. Which is really exciting. And Aaron and I have been working really closely together on the project plan, which is this massive table spreadsheet we've been working on, with roles and responsibilities. And what we wanted to do today, I invite Aaron here, is to help go over what the role of WCAT will be in this project. And it's a two-parter. We're also gonna touch on the Pleasant Street Extension updates as part of it because it is funded. So Erin, I'll turn it over to you and I'm happy to also walk through the nitty gritty. But you could get us started.
Can you bring up the table? please?
If you'd like to look at it, sure. Yeah, okay. Don't be frightened. You don't have to work on this table.
So what we did was we broke it out, the different,
Really, figure out the. Here.
this is a nifty tool, I have to make Cassie show you. When she learned from work. I've seen something like this before, but I've actually used it in kind of this. Anyways. It was actually fun, one. So what we did was we broke out all the different project activities that were in the grant, mentioned in the grant proposal. And then we came up with all the different roles that were mentioned in the grant. And then we assigned their responsibilities and roles. Everybody like each activity, like a particular role for each person. So I is informed, A is approval, R is responsible, C is consulted. So basically,
The RACI framework, I've brought it up with a couple of you before. And it really helps us identify who should be doing what on a particular task.
it's a really great tool. You can use it in all sorts of projects. Anyways, so basically the town staff is like here, the elected board's here. And then WCAT is gonna play the outreach community in this project. And then there's sort of a planning work group. And that's sort of like the sort of management committee. Working group. It's gonna have representative from the waterfront committee, WCAP, me, and the engineering firm. And then there's gonna be another sort of public meetings. Where there's gonna actually be community engagement, but also with that, there'll be. We'll also call it stakeholder involvement, where we're gonna encourage. The outreach community to help us reach out to people that have been disenfranchised and people that have a particular interest in the waterfront. So, or the future of Wisconsin, so the select board, the CAP, the waterfront committee, the shellfish commission, comprehensive plan. And I think we had. I think Cassie just mentioned the water management. Basically.
And also, yeah, well,
Oh, yeah, I think that was.
Young Club are also in the
Stakeholder.
stakeholder group.
Yeah.
Along with the Wabanaki.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, you got it all. So now as you go down the WCAT, see their role. Go down, they're really gonna play a really important role. In sort of. Doing the outreach piece, so they're gonna help plan the community meeting schedule. Come up with the. Outreach plan, or they would call it communications plan. And they're gonna be. Basically taking the minutes, essentially, or we're calling it meeting summaries. And so we come up with a report. And then. Let's see, participating in the public meetings. And then. Helping with the advertising. And then. More of the. Public. Meeting summaries.
And these are public meetings that in the grant, we've actually required the engineering firm that will come in and study solutions to help plan and run the public meetings, but that is gonna be done in partnership with WCAT, the planning group and the stakeholder group. And so we are not responsible for planning and running public meetings, but we are responsible for helping to advertise them, taking notes and disseminating those notes afterward.
Do we get a copy of this?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Terry.
Thanks, Tim.
I'm so glad I got to see some of it anyway.
Thanks
Doing
for
great.
making it. Thanks for making it.
We really are.
This grant basically is gonna be, you go back up to
Yeah, of course.
the, go down.
Don't
So
you?
the waterfront conceptual plan.
Oh, yeah, waterfront conceptual.
Yeah, so essentially, this is the need of the report, but I mean, the grant is to come up with some conceptual plans. For. Nature-based or,
Nature-based.
yeah, nature-based solutions or, engineering solutions for the waterfront. How to best deal with climate change, protecting the waterfront. And how to deal with the climate change, sea level rise. And we're trying to. We're gonna have the engineering team. Come up with these solutions, right? And there's gonna be a design shred, right? And they're gonna come up with some drawings and stuff. A bunch of different solutions, right? And then they're gonna present them to the public. The stakeholders, right? And the stakeholders are gonna provide their input. And at that meeting. The public will kind of decide or give the engineering firm. Direction on what. What design is desirable. And. Which. Methodology, well, not methodology, but what design is. Appropriate for, or solution is best for that. Pier. Yeah, pier. And so that's gonna be important to get. For WCAT to do a good job with outreach. Because. If you don't have a good turnout at these meetings. A small cross section of people show up. And they're making decisions about the pier. And. The wrong people are making those decisions. It could be impactful. So anyways. So. That's your role, it's gonna be consulting basis at this point, but responsible party. Is the engineering firm for the most part. But. I still think you're very, really important. With community outreach.
Yeah, so I think this is where we can bring information data, the public input that we've collected on priorities, but I think, yeah, this will be really important to like provide that input about climate scenarios that need to be planned for in this project.
Yeah, if you know anybody that. Start developing a list of people that you think need to attend meetings, people that will be impacted. People that. Or any particular set of. Report, if you know if there's any reports, or data. About this, do you have any strong opinions? About. This issue. Let us know. Or if you know anybody who does. Let us know. It'd be important.
I have feelings.
We do have our distribution list, I mean, the mail list that we created during our public meetings, we have something to start out from, and we. Set up a Facebook page and we can reach out to more people in the community that way. And of course, we start doing monthly letters to the paper, or as we start setting up our lecture series. We'll be able to reach people that way. That's great.
Create a plan of action. Well, we talked about that.
Okay.
So the first step is an RFP. What's step number one? Now that once we get the money.
Yeah, we could start, we're gonna start working on the RFP for the engineering firm,
Right.
so that'll be the first step. Hiring the engineering firm.
And are we going to make sure that whatever engineering firm we do choose has proven background in nature-based solutions?
That's one of the key things, and then also public engagement. It would be a key component.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, this is good, could be a transformative thing.
When do we have to submit another grant application and see? Is there another one this year for another 50,000?
There should likely be another one this year. I think historically it's been September, October timeframe, when it opens again. If you all recall, we had applied for a second planning grant that we did not receive, and the scope of the need for this project is probably triple what we received. Just to get to engineering design and not construction, so. My feeling is that this would be a natural fit for the next grant application as well. But I know that this group, we have a lot of ideas and contracts that we would like to fundraise for. But I think for that one, it would probably be like an easy yes for them to give to us.
This should be our, it's the biggest focus.
Capture that in the notes.
I was told by the person of the that she thought that all three piers or three locations could be done. But she never got back to me. She thought that all three locations could be done. It could be done.
Okay,
It could be done in what area?
50 grand,
Yeah, but one of that was there. She said she was gonna get back to me.
okay.
So she probably was still, but anyways, how's it gonna work out? Change our scope again.
I believe the scope included the municipal, commercial and community. groups.
Yes, but so what happens? You can't afford it.
I think we just go back, we just tell go with that and say, this is actually what's in the scope and maybe do an adjustment to our grant agreement.
Alright.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But perhaps the town could prioritize, like, if there is a firm that comes in and says we can cover all three for that amount, and they have the right experience,
Yeah,
that would be a big.
maybe it could be like one contract.
We're talking about the Creamery Pier, the waterfront, what's their location?
The municipal and commercial, docks. Okay, we have about 3 minutes. Any other quick questions about this? We can share this with you. This is a bit of a work in progress, but it is a good start, and we'll be using this to manage this project. Well, thank you, Erin, for really being open to the framework and wrapping up on it. So, just so you all know, I would love to use this model for organizational model for our future big things that we do. It works really well. Okay, thanks all. Next is the Pleasant Street Extension project updates and community engagement discussion. Leslie, did you share the good news about the MOU that was signed?
So Aaron just shared it with me. We received the go ahead from the town to use the $2,000 to pay Rebecca Jacobs with Knox Lincoln County for the water. And that would pay for her engagement to basically help us work up a conceptual design for the extension and development of application materials, et cetera, help us with grant writing and budget development. I mean, it's $2,000, it's gonna be easy to go through that pretty quickly, but we've got her proposal, signed by the town, we have the money, we need to get a countersigned proposal from Knox-Lincoln County. And then we need to figure out, we'll have a meeting so we can figure out what the next step needs to be, and that's probably going to be her developing a thumbnail, like a concept, and then are starting to get the public engaged to get buy-in. Or feedback.
Yep.
Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that we really need is technical assistance is we could probably do a lot of the outreach ourselves, you know, in order to save some of the money. You know, she needs to help us with maybe doing some maps, some drawings,
Yeah.
some cost estimates and things like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. So that's the news, that's the long and short of it.
Thanks, it's great to see that, it's also in this project plan.
Good.
And which apologies, I didn't share the screen here, so it's not captured in the recording, but we can share. A PDF of the project plan, in the meeting notes. I'll just make a note to myself to. But progress is really great. Leslie, do you, I know we still have to have a planning meeting to discuss this, but do you have a sense for when you would like to hold a public meeting about the Pleasant Street extension?
I don't yet, because it's going to depend on Rebecca coming up with, I mean, we need to have a concept to be able to get feedback on. So it will be up to her and how quickly she can come up with that.
Yeah,
See, months, maybe.
great. One thing that might help with that, as well as the general waterfront, community engagement that we do is, we do, I don't know if the town, this is a question for you, has signed an MOU with Climate Central yet. But Climate Central a few months back drove through our town with a Ford F-150 Lightning and, LiDAR instruments that measured, very accurately the elevation of everything, and they had used an AI model and projections of sea level rise to come up with images of what our town looks like with sea level rise. So like Railroad Avenue, Water Street, I believe they went by the Pleasant Street extension as well. So you can see at different sea levels.
Yeah, we have that, yeah, I thought you had.
I don't know if we signed the MOU, but it's control. And in town had to do that to move forward with them, so.
I'm pretty sure we did.
Did we? I was at it, did we? Okay, we'll follow up on that and share the images with you all, but I'm really excited because I think it's much easier to talk about sea level rise when you have an image showing this is what it looked like.
And, you know, if we could. You know, we might be able to. Use the metaphor, kill two birds with one stone, if we could time the Pleasant Street work in terms of the public engagement. That we might be able to almost tie some of that public engagement in with the. Work that we do here in the pier.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, concerns on any of the Pleasant Street extension project? Okay. Very quickly in the last few minutes, I don't believe we have any working group updates, but we do have but you do have a working group update on emerging opportunities.
I thought it was like weatherization,
Sure.
subcommittee of one. So regarding the Johnson Control project. A lot of the projects were just weatherization stuff that are minor, low cost things, and I think those to be done separately from the um, on the, performance contract. And a lot less expensive. So I would propose that, select board consider that. I mean, for example, I was told several years ago that, this building needed insulation in the roof. I don't, as far as I know, it hasn't been done. I mean, you'd save a lot of money just by doing that, and it wouldn't cost that much money. You'd probably save, you'd get a return on investment of 1 year by insulating. If that's the case, but it wouldn't take much effort for somebody to take a look at it.
Okay, so it's more of a comment
So,
on the.
no, it's whether or not the committee wants to pursue that with the board.
Honestly,
Well,
Mike, I think we need a whole lot of information, more information about the, exactly what's been done and like what the costs might be. And,
So can you get that from the town?
would you like to get that information and compile it and present it here? I think we have to,
Somebody
like,
has
I
to-
need a lot more information in order to make recommendation to the select board personally. I don't know how other folks feel, but I don't feel like I have a good understanding of like what's been done with the town buildings. We did just hear some of the work's been done, but
Yeah,
it's not clear.
I agree.
And then what the actual cost savings estimates could be, because I feel like it's too fuzzy in my head to make a really solid recommendation.
Yeah, well, here, the JCI already presented what should be done. And they're willing to spend $1.9 million on the entire project. And they don't have any actual details either of what needs to be done.
But they didn't look at our legalization, I guess.
Strange.
Yeah, they said specifically what needs to be done.
That's. Look like that.
They did give specifics. More detail in the proposal. And I don't think it's on the website anymore.
It is. This came from their main proposal.
Yeah, well, I know you could download it previously, but I think it wasn't in documents and it's no longer there because it's superseded by other documents. Which they put up that last year. And I looked at resources, but I didn't do a deep dive in it, I didn't see.
I personally would like Marty, for you to present this information in like a digestible format, so we can look at like, this is what's been done, this is what hasn't been done, here are actual like estimates. The possibility, like costs to address these things, that's different from a performance contract. In order for us to make an informed recommendation as a committee.
Okay.
And happy to like write that up, if that's helpful, but that's how I'm feeling. I wanna open the floor, so I'm just one of those.
In my experience, that's what select board is gonna want to,
That's what,
in my experience,
oh, it's
that's what
spelled out
select
in the
board's gonna
contract.
want.
It's spelled out in the contract, what needs to be done. So, the other thing I proposed originally when, Johnson Control was here, was to do a separate audit. It would cost only $4,000. And that was turned down. And it would have actually given us a plan on how to transfer to EV vehicles. So, you know, I feel like I'm not doing this in-
Marty, do you wanna prepare something to come back, like a concrete, like make a presentation on this and potential things that we would want to recommend to the select board? Because I feel like I don't know what we would be recommending.
Well, I'd have to have somebody else do another audit and kind of have to do that.
I'm saying like maybe you could get more information from the town about what information is available now. And what about what has been done, what hasn't been done. I know you have already talked to different vendors about like different alternative ways of doing like the solar or different things. It would be great to just like compare that apples to apples against the DCI proposal. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's another issue is the heat pumps, I have no idea what it's going to happen RFP because different companies may have different recommendations.
Right, it sounds like we don't have to worry about that so much.
Yeah,
It's
but I'm just saying
whether
it
it's-
is a concern, you want to do it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
So I'm proposing, Marty, that you next meeting come back with that information to our committee so we can talk about making a recommendation to the select board. Great, thanks, Marty. I think that'll really help. Like, I just still cannot wrap my head around this. Yeah, more information would be super helpful. Okay. Are you okay with moving on to the next last announcement, ready? Thank you. Okay, I wanted to share, well, or turn it over to Aaron to share that, some news about Wiscasset being selected by the Maine Governor's Energy Office for a fuel analysis.
So yes, thank you, Kathy. You probably heard about it, but the Maine, that's like she said, the Maine Governor's Energy Office and in partnership with the Maine Department Community Development, created this program called the Maine Community Energy Redevelopment Program. Basically, it's a program to help communities with underutilized energy assets, to help them provide them with technical assistance to find uses for it. And they'll help foster economic development. And they are working with a company, like basically it's a economic development outfit, a consulting firm called HRA Advisors. And they are going to be, they're under contract with the state to basically help leverage and that infrastructure and help secure funding and so forth and bring investment to the community. So we just had our first kickoff meeting today. The town of Wiscasset actually had 4 submittals to nominate Wiscasset. The town had one, the Mason Station redevelopment group did, Green Power Wiscasset did, and the Iowa Institute did. And we were selected, of course, and the town application was very supportive of. We didn't know about the Iowa Institute, and I'm still kind of curious what they were promoting. But the town's application supported the repower Wiscasset application in general terms, along with Mason Station project at Birch Point and the Old Ferry Road development. So there's going to be several meetings coming up. There'll be a stakeholder engagement meeting, which is going to be just a select few people invited to that. Mainly like site operators and abutters and property owners and things like that, just a few key individuals. And then there'll be a community visioning process where everybody will be invited. There'll be a survey circulated, and there'll be a meeting where people will be able to talk about what they like to see it happen at the site. There'll be which keep wrap up around first of next year. So,
Okay, we can share, I can share it in the notes.
all right. The the outline with the meeting tonight, today, the whole process, that they're gonna help us with, doing some market analysis, determine, what uses would be available for the corridor. To help us do like, some like site analysis, so they'll help us determine, what would be best served at each site. Ferry Road property and the Mason Station complex. And things like that, so it's actually gonna have a great opportunity, it's a really great opportunity for the town. But we're pretty excited about it this time. Not sure if anybody else, but I know the Mason Station, redevelopment group is pretty excited about it, so. And I'm looking forward to Colin Peter. Got him,
It's gonna be thrilled.
So, there's that, and the people who have an option to buy Mason Station. Don't they have like a 3-year option?
Yes, so that's independent of this process, so. They have a 3-year option, they just signed that option this year sometime, I think it was in June.
Well, I thought it'd been going on for 3 years.
They might have just reviewed it, I would have to ask Ryan again, it seems like they have. This option longer, but. When talking to Ryan more recently, he said that he thinks that. They'll be making decisions before that 3 years is up, it's sooner than later. But they're really waiting on what the state's gonna do with. The current owner, the current owner is in pretty hot water with the state in terms of. Environmental issues at the plant, and so. They don't wanna jump into anything, before they know what happens there.
But this repower is totally separate from the actual Mason Station, it's the land.
Oh, yeah, Repower has nothing to do with Mason Station, Repower is its own, I don't know. what
It's
it is.
just the location. I know the town owns some land there.
Yeah, Repower has really no control over any property or anything, right? It's just its own nonprofit.
No, the concept is basically on town land. not
Yes,
Mason
so-
Station.
Yeah. Yeah, so Repower's proposal was to basically. Create a clean energy park at the old Ferry Road property at right across the street from main Yankee.
Yep.
And the town has also another concept of creating workforce housing for. People in the community
Is that the same land?
on the same time.
Yeah, I know what you're.
We're in the middle about housing. So, but we're in the opinion that. That I think, at least I'm in the opinion that I think that land's being enough for the system. To do both. If we can do both there. If it's done right.
Thanks all, we're over time, but, if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to send them, I can include them in the minutes. And appreciate all of your time. And thank you, Heather, for joining us as well. Have a good evening, and we'll stop the recording.
I did have one more question, but you can stop.